to the parole, updates to the parole.
Hi.
Okay, welcome back, folks. This is House Corrections and Institutions. We are running late. We're supposed to meet at 1. It's my fault. This is Thursday, January 15th, and we have with us our legal counsel, Hillary Chutters Ames. Chutter.
We'll have plenty of chances for everyone to get my using last name right.
Hillary. This will be just a walkthrough of the bill, just to legally have a legal walkthrough of the bill in terms of what the bill, legal language in the bill is saying. So Hillary, if you could introduce yourself for the record, and then that's the one. And we do have Mary Jane on Zoom, just in case we have some questions that pertain directly to the parole board or she wants to weigh in. So feel free.
All right. For the record, Hillary Chutter Ames for the Office of Legislative Counsel. So I know the committee has already heard much about the parole board and talked a little bit about the bill, but I will walk through the details a little bit more. Just to set the stage, we're in Title 28 in Chapter 7, which is all about parole.
And folks, you should have your bill in front of you.
Where is it?
I don't know. I'm not responsible for you.
Oh, it already was
But we
printed out.
are
I'm sorry. I
on
thought.
Page 559. It's going to walk us through the language of the bill. So you have to have the bill in front of you to know what she's saying.
It will make it easier to follow, I'll say that,
Make it-
unless you have it
Here it
memorized.
is.
Our attachment, I'm sorry, for
All
online,
I'm gonna do is go to our webpage and go to bills in. Or bills out. It's a bill,
559.
bill 559.
Know that, but look.
It's rudimentary, folks. You can't work on a bill unless you have it in front of you. Well, break your pants.
No, it's just that electronically, it's misattached. So if you hit the 559 tab, 549 comes up.
The link goes to 549. Uh-oh.
Well, we'll blame tape.
Well, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying that it needs to be, Kate might not have fixed it.
Might have happened, it might have happened in the system. So some folks get the paper copy. I don't know if all folks.
Yeah. I'll just go to the homepage. Yeah, there's a way around that. It's no problem.
Welcome to the world.
I really want to just happen to have it up there.
Just about, we're 4 minutes, 4 minutes from 1:30.
You did.
When our
Which
next,
happens to be one of your bills, Troy.
when our next testifier.
It's about IDs.
Well, class,
Admirable.
Yeah, okay.
I'm happy to be with you all. It's great.
Yeah, we'll talk.
You can hold that.
Better to do.
Oh, sorry.
I,
Correct.
Okay, folks, who needs a copy of the bill?
I'm just searching it on the home site and the will come up.
You know how to get to the home site?
I do. I just usually work off the,
electronically.
Okay.
I'm right here. I just usually get up. I'm sorry.
so,
It's all yours, Hillary.
Right, so 559, we're in Title 28, Chapter 7, which is all about parole. There are kind of 4 main parts in Chapter 7. There are general definitions, there's the parole board, there is eligibility for parole, and there is revocation. This bill is really talking about the parole board only. It's not talking about parole eligibility or parole revocation. So 3 main pieces of the changes that the bill proposes to make. First are changes to the composition of the board. So the bill would take the board from 5 members and 2 alternates to 7 regular members. The bill would also impose a term limit of not more than 2 terms in a row. And the bill would update the language describing the kinds of knowledge and experience requirements that parole board members should have. So that's kind of the first bucket of changes, are changes to the composition of the board.
So for folks, that's on page 2.
Yes, we'll jump in. I'm
Okay.
just doing a little overview and then we'll dig into the specific language.
Yeah. Shut up.
Never. You should always jump into correct and add.
But we don't save our flags though, correct? Because we already had a couple.
Yeah, save our flags till we get to the language. And poor John, we're running a little late. You can come in here for refuge.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the beautiful covered table.
Well,
That's why we keep our snacks now, John.
that's the table for the staff.
Oh, yeah.
That is table for the staff.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, second big set of changes are providing training to board members. So there's a new requirement that parole board members attend trainings. And there are some other changes charging the DOC commissioner and the director with providing those trainings. So that's the second bucket of changes. And the third and final bucket of changes are specifying some responsibilities of the parole board director. So just keep those three things in mind and we'll walk through the specific language. So starting on page 1, lines 14 and 15, you'll see we're amending the powers and responsibilities of the commissioner regarding parole in the bill.
The commissioner is the commissioner of corrections.
Yep.
This is under Title 28. Okay,
So on page 2, lines 1 through 5, we have the new added language. The bill would add subdivision 6 to charge the DOC commissioner to provide regular training for the parole board, at least annually, in collaboration with the parole board director on topics related to making determinations of parole, criminogenic behavior, mental health disorders, substance use treatment, trauma-informed work with victims of crime, and serious crime rehabilitation. So starts to specify some of the topics for the training that we'll see shortly, the parole board members will be required to take. So that's the change that's being made on the top of page 2, charging the DOC commissioner with the responsibility to provide these regular trainings.
so a big question here, folks. Is if the parole board is not under the department per se, though it's funded with a line item under DOC, but they don't answer to the commissioner. It's the commissioner that's going to be set up to provide the training.
So commissioner in collaboration with the parole board director. So we'll see in a little bit that there are kind of 3 changes in the bill that go hand in hand. This is one of them. So we can skip ahead to this part. On page 3, lines 15 through 16, this is now making a change in the section about the parole board, and it is adding a training requirement. So subsection D, a new subsection D, at least annually, each member of the parole board shall attend trainings designated by the parole board director. So new thing in the bill, requiring parole board members to undergo training at least annually. And that's as designated by the parole board director. That goes hand in hand with the change we just talked about at the top of page 2, saying we're going to require that parole board members attend training. We need to make sure that someone is charged with providing the training. So there's this change to include it in the DOC commissioner's responsibilities, since the parole board is at least under the umbrella of DOC, but it is in collaboration with the parole board director, who is really the one, at least as far as the bill's changes go, who would be developing and providing the training. So the third change, and sorry to skip around, but these are the 3 training related provisions, and then we will go back to page 2. But on page 4, this is lines 7 through 10. This is the section that is discussing the parole board director, and section E, the bill would add a new section E, providing that the director shall be responsible for the overall function of the parole board, ensuring legal compliance, developing and implementing all policies and procedures of the board, and developing and providing training to the board in collaboration with the commissioner. So in response to Chair Emmons' question or prompt, those 3 sections are kind of working together to require the training and say who is in charge of it. And that is, under the umbrella of the DOC commissioner, but really the point person in the bill is the parole board director who would be developing those trainings. Any questions about the kind of training related changes in the bill?
I think we have questions, but not to you. I think it's going to.
Excellent.
For the committee members, it will be more towards the parole board folks. So make a note of that, Mary Jane, as well as DOC folks for this. And also, I think one thing that we have to really focus on, if we want to have, and this is a conversation with Trevor that I hope you two will have at some point, is do we really want to push having a separate line item of funding for the parole board in the state budget, not under DOC? And if we do that, how does that implicate this language? So just to put that in the back of your mind, folks. For that.
Training, and it's probably, I'm not seeing the language. Is this the total list of training, or is this just examples of the type of training you want to make sure that they receive?
The way it's drafted, they're examples of the kind.
Okay.
So related to, it's
That's
trying to give some substance
Related
to
to
the training that it's calling for.
Got it.
Yes, related
Rather than
to.
not limited to, but related to. Got it. Thank you.
It's dicey when you start limiting, because you don't know. if
Oh,
it's-
yeah. I wasn't looking to limit.
I do a clarifying question as well. Page 3, line 15. Are you suggesting or saying that each board member only has to do training once annually?
The way it is drafted is that required training would be at least once a year. So it could be more, but as currently drafted, it anticipates at least once yearly training.
So we don't have to do this now, but I might want to play with that sentence a little bit, because at least annually implies one day. And then it suggests multiple trainings plural. So we're almost setting them up for this day-long smorgasbord of various training. I would almost rather go with training as deemed necessary by the whatever, rather than, yeah, anyway.
Yep. So if the committee has other ideas about what that training would look like and how frequent it should be, we can certainly discuss language that would capture that.
Joe?
Let me just speak in general now. So page 3, line 5, which speaks to the 3 members of the board shall constitute a quorum for the conduct committee. But I think that's in our first time, just looking at some cursory basis, that was intended for when there was a 5-member board, but now it's a 7-member board. So would that not need to be 4? No, it could still be 3?
We talked about that the other day.
Okay.
You can designate a different number. It's usually the majority, but it doesn't need to be. the majority.
Doesn't need to be. Okay.
Yep. So
Done.
there are default rules in other statutes for what constitutes a quorum and how many people in a multi-member body
All right.
it takes to make decisions. The way this is drafted, it sets aside those default rules. So as drafted, it can say a quorum is 3.
Mhm.
If there are concerns about a quorum of a 7-member board constituting 3 people, or the ability of 2 members at a parole board hearing, majority of members present, being able to make decisions, then we could discuss
Yeah,
what changes to the language,
I have-
but as drafted
I
it
have no
is.
problem. And then secondly and lastly, page 2, line 12, the term limits, I know we discussed them in there. And the question was posed, are there impediments to qualified people getting on currently because they're individuals serving a lot of consecutive terms? And I think the answer was no. So I don't know that that's in the setting term limits that serves the public good here.
We'll discuss that when we get deeper into testimony.
Okay.
Because some folks, if I remember Mary Jane's testimony, the current chair of the parole board was not in support of term limits. And there was some debate going back and forth about term limits that might help with the turnover of the board or getting new focus, new vision. So that I flagged that because that's an issue we really have to talk with board members, the board, and see where we come down on. So I flagged that as an issue.
Great. That leads us right into our next set of changes. So we'll go back to page 2 and keep walking through the other changes in the bill. So this set of changes all affect the composition of the board. So on page 2, lines 8 through 10, that language is changing the board from 5 regular members and 2 alternate members to 7 regular members. Next, as mentioned, on page 2, line 12, the bill would impose a term limit. So not an absolute term limit, but a number of terms in a row. No member shall serve more than 2 consecutive terms. So any member who served 2 terms would have to take a break before they could keep serving. And the last substantive change in this section is on page 2, lines 16 through 18. And that is changing the language around the knowledge and experience of the board members to language a little bit more in keeping with language that we use now. So instead of knowledge of and experience in correctional treatment, crime prevention, or human relations, the bill would provide that the board members must have knowledge of or experience in criminogenic behavior, mental health treatment, substance use disorder, or serious crime rehabilitation. The last set of changes on page 3,
Can I
lines.
just ask about that?
Yes.
Claude? Who's gonna determine that they have sufficient knowledge?
As far as
The advice
practical,
is
the
the Senate shall appoint. It's the governor. When you go through, gotta go to the top page, line 8 and 9. It's the governor that appoints. So there would be a screening that the administration does. That's what they do for most appointments. They have to meet certain qualifications or certain criteria.
There's no particular certification, it's just that he believes he's got the proper knowledge.
as drafted, yep. And that's on me. I cut short that sentence when I was reading it out, so. On page 3, lines 2 through 4, this is the last change we haven't discussed yet. And this is a change consistent with the first one we talked about in this section, which is if we're going from 5 regular members and 2 alternates to a board of 7 regular members, we don't want to leave anything else in the statute that refers to alternate members, because with the change to 7 regular members, there are no longer any alternate members. So on page 3, lines 2 through 4, the bill is removing this reference to how alternates serve on the board. So we're removing the language that the chair or the executive director may assign alternates to serve on the board, and such alternates shall have all the powers and authority of a regular member when so assigned.
So if you look at the current law has 5 members. It's a 5-member board. And a quorum of that 5-member board is 3. Okay? What this proposes is to do away with the alternates. And then you have a 7-member board automatically. Do we still want 3 as a quorum of a 7-member board?
Mhm.
Because the way it currently is, it's 5 members. Okay, it's a 5-member board, and there's 2 alternates. Those alternates are there in case a member of the 5 can't show up. And a quorum of the 5 is 3. So we're changing that to expand the number of the board from 5 to 7 and no alternates. But we're keeping it right now that a quorum is 3. So that's a policy thing that we'll have to make as we take testimony. Did you follow?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that is a big shift.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not saying we make the decision now, folks. It is a policy decision, but we'll be taking more testimony and figure this out. Any other questions for Hillary here?
Well, I don't know if Hillary can answer this or not.
Uh-oh.
She might be able to.
Might be a question for me or might be for someone else.
I think it might be for Mary Jane. But the other day, not earlier today, but the other day when Mary Jane was with us, we talked about the term limits. And my understanding, I might be wrong, was that she didn't want to box us in, but maybe I'm wrong, to the 2 consecutive terms.
So the next process we're gonna do, folks, this is just the walkthrough with our legal counsel to let us know the structure of the bill and what the proposed changes are. Flag those issues that are important to you folks. That's a flag.
Okay.
Who would we like to set up some testimony in the future about this next week?
Mary Jane.
Should we have the chair of the board?
He's
I
going
think
to
so.
say.
That'd be Andy.
This is Dean George. Do we want DOC?
He probably should be part of it.
Who else do we want?
Well, I'd be interested in just a board member, the chair is one person. The chair's also getting paid 20,000, whereas the others aren't getting paid anything, so I kind of like to hear that perspective.
Anything else? If we can
Well,
start.
I'm just sitting here thinking if it's necessary or not about somebody with lived experience having to do with the parole board, but I don't know, maybe Mary Jane could help us find somebody. But I don't know if that's relevant to this bill. That's what I'm trying to
Why don't we park that?
wonder about.
So we'll set up some testimony, maybe next week, to work on these, but the way to do it is when you're looking through the bill, and just like Sean mentioned, flag it. I flagged the executive terms.
Yep.
I flagged, really looking at the training. So flag those issues that are important. Troy, you brought up about just the language about annually. If we decide to do a line item and push for that, that may change some of the structure. Because then it's not the commissioner that's gonna have any say over anything. So then we really get into the statute itself.
Yes, there is a bill that has been introduced in the Senate that also concerns the parole board, and I think has some language that might relate to some of the topics that you're talking about. Let me check. Senate 237.
37.
Do you know, is that in Senate Judiciary or Senate?
It has been referred to Senate Judiciary. Yep.
Are they working on it? Do you know?
I do not have that.
Doesn't look like it. Read first time on January 13th.
But just for the committee's awareness that there has been some language drafted that may touch on some of these topics.
It's a 13-page.
Have we already talked about, what prompted this bill? Are there particular problems we're trying to address, or is this Mary Jane's
Yes.
suggestion that we do this because of her experience? What's prompted this?
What it is really, there's two folks from the parole board who have been there a long time. They're not gonna continue. They've said they don't want to continue. The chair of the parole board is resigning, finishing up, moving on. And they've been talking about this for a while. And Mary Jane, I don't know if you're available, but it came to me as a request from the Attorney General's office and saying that they had worked with Mary Jane and trying to figure out how to update the parole board to really start responding to current practice and current issues that they're struggling with. That's where it came from. Is that fair, Mary Jane?
Good afternoon. This is Mary Jane Ainsworth, the director of the parole board, for the record. That is fair. Also, it's just a mission to modernize and bring the statutes more up to today's time. It's been a while. I know I've been in this role for almost 7 years, and just trying to go through, and now that I've got my feet under me more, just really looking at how can we modernize the board and also have the board recognized for the work that it does, and the highly, like I said this morning, just the nature of the high nature and high stakes that is in the board's decision making.
Thank you.
What mountain are you skiing now?
Said Sugar Rush?
I think.
It's just a
Anything else?
background.
No,
Anything else, folks?
no.
So we'll schedule more testimony on this. So however you folks file it, make sure you file it in a way that you can get back to the bill.
All right, thank you all.
The teacher has spoken.
Thank you, Helen.
Better not make it 45 minutes of your time.
Yeah, right. Well, wait until we get to age 50. I hope John has a copy of the Senate.
The key. Worth the
There
time.
you go.
Thank you, Hillary. Appreciate it. You'll be back.
I mean, that, they're brilliant, they are.
Hey,
I don't never credit them for it though. Very selfish politicians.
So 8:50, I'm not prepared for this, but
I'll give a genesis of it.
remember the genesis. Who was the reporter of the bill?
That was you.
Joe, I think.
No, it wasn't.
I think
No,
it's
it
Joe.
wasn't, was it you?
No, it's you. You were the
I-
No, I didn't do that one.
I did.
Kids apart.
You
I
did.
did it.
Okey-dokey. So the bill, pull out your bill, H50.
Got it.
From last year.
50.
It's
Right, zero. I have the version that passed the House. Towards the end of the session, the Senate changed it. And it came in a little, we had some concerns, and I don't remember exactly which part was changed. But we had some concerns about it. It was too late in the session, so we brought the bill back into committee so we could continue working on it this year. For that. We know the genesis.
I mean, I've got some other information that's relevant to it. If I could talk about it real quick.
John, you have the Senate version, correct?
I do, and I can share it on the screen.
a few copies.
Okay, that would be helpful.
Links on our page today too.
And you were the reporter, so I'm gonna put you on the hot seat. Did you go over and talk to the Senate at all on this? When they were
Last year?
Yeah, when they were looking at it,
No, they never called.
they never called. Oh, okay, they added state least.
And there's another,
They added state lease and statutory purpose. You want to share this now, or you want to do it after John?
I mean, so I just want to say, I'm going to express a little bit of frustration and then I'll get off there. But if you looked at the original purpose of the bill, and this was, looking at a city like Montpelier, where we are a very small postage stamp of land. We don't have any city property, but we've got a huge housing need like everybody else does here. So if there's no sacred cows anymore, the thought was, okay, if we've got a bunch of state land, we should look at ideas that we could convert some of it, the land, the buildings, less likely the buildings, more likely the land, that we could possibly develop and build housing in the places we need it most, which is in our downtown population centers. So H50's purpose was this bill proposes to task the Department of BGS with identifying state real property suitable for the conversion into affordable housing. It's a one-line bill, and it said that every year, on or before January 15th, every biennium, the administration would study and submit to the General Assembly a report that examines whether any of the state's real property, including underutilized lots and population centers, would be suitable for affordable housing. I don't think the administration opposed it, and I'm not blaming BGS because this is fifth floor stuff. It's, but there was definitely a chilling factor in that for various reasons, the administration would not be able to come back to us with a list of viable housing options as the bill specified. And this got watered down into an inventory of state buildings. Because right now it's not the space book.
Oh, it includes the inventory of state buildings.
Yeah.
It's Facebook.
Yeah. So the space book, right?
The new one. This.
I don't have that copy yet.
No, it just came out.
That's good.
I
Yeah.
just got it 2 days ago.
And that's valuable because we didn't know what A&R land there was or AOT land. So having it all in one place that's easily digestible makes sense because we know our districts better than anybody else. And if we can look in our districts for opportunities like this, that could result in action. So the executive order comes out and section 4, state utilization of land. By December 1st, 2025, each state agency and department owning real property shall submit to BGS and the Department of Housing and Conservation, or Housing and Community Development, complete inventory of un- and underutilized properties suitable for multifamily housing development, housing
I
infill,
got the idea
mobile
from you.
park, shelter construction, rehabilitation as defined by the Secretary of Commerce. They'll assess the multifamily housing and development feasibility and infrastructure capacity, and they'll recommend for disposal, which will be in the capital bill, for disposal or long-term lease agreements to support meeting the state's housing unit generation goals. So my frustration, right? This is almost verbatim what that bill said initially.
Gave them the idea.
And okay, yeah, it's flattering, but we spent hours of testimony on this. It went to both chambers and passed. I would have been happy as Larry if we put that exact language in front and said, let's pass it out tomorrow. So I just we're either working together or we're not here, and it's not about who gets the credit, but this is important stuff, I think. And we just got to be honest going into it. And again, I know BGS gets the orders from up top there. But I think we need to be, so now it makes me question, what's the purpose of this bill? Which is an inventory, which is way watered down from the original intent. It's,
Let's find out.
okay. Thank you for tolerating me, everybody. It's, yeah.
No, totally understand.
Welcome, John.
Thank you.
I didn't feel for the committee.
Juice is flowing.
Oh, you haven't seen anything.
I was asleep. Now I'm not. John Gray, Office of Legislative Counsel. I'm going to screen share this bill that looks very different from what was just described. H50, Act relating to identifying underutilized state buildings and land. Current title. Just a few additions that the Senate proposed in their amendment, but just to orient before I jump into the differences proposed by the Senate. This is just touching Commissioner BGS's inventorying process, right? So they regularly collect information from agencies on the buildings that are out there and whether those are properly utilized. And this is just updating that statute and then tasking at the end a report to you guys so you have information on those vacant or underutilized spaces. So if we think about what passed out of the House, we can just strike out the highlighted language here. So as passed out of the House, the update to the statute was commissioners shall maintain an inventory of all state-owned buildings and land and biannually compile and update that information under subsection G. And that will be considered when making spacing allocations and designated uses. The update you see here is to add 4 state leased buildings. Don't know exactly what the thinking from the Senate committee is, because in part, if you think about what the information you're collecting under subsection G, which is what this subsection links to, is about getting inventories from the agencies as to the properties that they're running. So I think my guess is the addition of or state leased is really tied to, and I'm just going to jump around, subsection J on page 2, and that's starting on line 6. Because this was previously just a section in statute about the inventorying practice, but now you've added a subsection to get these legislative reports to you guys, the committees of jurisdiction. I'm guessing that the thinking here, adding the state lease, was just, we want as much information as we can get as a legislative committee. So you're kind of shifting a little bit, the orientation of the section is the way that I would describe it. It's not necessarily anything wrong. It's just, how does it predicated on subsection G? And could be useful information to have, but if this is about identifying underutilized state properties, right? State leased, not those, that's when the state has had to go out for other properties. So just noting that in subsection E, the expansion that the Senate has proposed is maintaining an inventory of all state-owned or state leased buildings and lands. So you would get a broader inventory. But if you think of the purpose of this as ensuring that space allocations are done efficiently for existing state property, that other information, whether the state is leasing land, would be information that the commissioner already has, right? Like that's decisions that they're making.
And I think one thing that came to mind, and maybe this is right or wrong, just the term state leased.
Yeah.
Does that mean state property that we're leasing out, or does that mean that the state is leasing a private property?
You would already be getting the former through the state-owned piece, right? Because if you were leasing it out, that would be state-owned, right? So I take it this is referencing non-state-owned. The state needs this land because they have insufficient lands or buildings and they've had to go out and access a building because they didn't have. And that's kind of the point I was trying to make, is that the inventory, the section as currently enacted, it's about gathering, are we efficiently using the state spaces that we have? If you are, and then you need extra space, you have to go out and lease lands, right? But that's information that would already be, right? So that's the first piece.
Wait a minute, I'm not clear on that.
Go for it.
Because, humor me, I'm thinking we do need to know state leased that we own and that we don't own, so we get a full picture. Is that full picture going to come?
Yes, I mean, you're getting state owned regardless.
State-owned is what is in statute.
Yeah,
So if you have state-owned and you're leasing it out,
yeah,
you are already getting that under this. The addition here is non-state-owned lands. If the state is going out and needing to lease buildings or lands,
Like the new building in Waterbury.
right,
you would get access to that information
as well.
as well. You would get both. This is adding information that you receive.
That's all I'm trying, yeah, okay, thank you.
So like in terms of the national life leases.
We want to know
We
that.
don't own that building.
I don't care, I want to know
We
that. we're-
lease-
Oh, but we lease it, but we would
Right.
then get access to that, to the lease terms?
I think that sorry, I don't want to cut off that line.
It's the inventory.
I think that
Terms, it's the inventory.
the conceptual point I wanted to make, which may mean nothing to you guys, like you just may not care, is there's a logic to the way that the section is organized as in law, which is about inventorying for the Department of Buildings and General Services purposes, inventorying so that they can allocate spaces. Now, and you can do this, it's a slight shift to what the section does. It's an information gathering process for the legislature in addition to for BGS is the way I'm trying to describe it. That may not matter to you. I'm just saying that there's a different logic to the way the section works now. And you may find that information useful. So
We should gather it all while we're.
So I just want to bring up to speed what the next step is for this. Reporter of the bill will have to bring to the floor what our decision is on H50. It is still in play. It passed the House. It passed the Senate. So the next step is, do we concur with the Senate proposals of amendment? Do we not concur with the Senate proposal of amendment and ask for a conference committee? Do we concur with the proposal of amendment with further amendment? That's what's before us. So if you remember, we had to do this for the capital bill last year. So this is the same process here. Okay, and it's James that will carry this because he was the reporter of the bill on the floor. Troy.
I don't necessarily have any issues with the changes that the Senate made. It doesn't matter to what we're trying to do with this bill. It doesn't hurt, it doesn't harm.
Right, and they did, the space book was
Yeah.
just delivered, and they did include the inventory of state-owned and state lists.
Okay, great. So I could concur and it wouldn't matter. I'm just in alliance with my colleague from Montpelier here. I'd be interested in bringing that language from the executive order into an amendment and let's get it back into the statute.
So this was gonna be a follow-up question that I was gonna ask our legal counsel. That language that Connor read is part of an executive order. How long is that executive order in place? And what's the legislative role when there's an executive order that's been issued?
I would need to look at the executive order. I hadn't seen this prior to today, but something I could look into and just see. Yes.
And what is the legislative role when there's an executive order that has been promulgated? Can we weigh in on it? Can we change it? Can we do something in a bill that changes the executive order?
You can propose to. I think it will be helpful if I come back having read the executive order and I can give you better information.
Send it to you, John.
Agree.
I mean, one thing I was thinking, and Troy, I was thinking it and I just didn't voice it because I wanted folks to know what the steps were for the next for H50. If we choose to, it would basically almost be a strike all. Right? And go back to to the language that's in the executive order.
Yeah, I mean, like, the one thing the executive order is missing is a report will be delivered December 1st, but there's no mention of the General Assembly of this. So getting whatever information is received from the two agents, the department and the agency, back to us on an annual or every other year basis would be helpful. And that was the original intent.
So
There would be nothing conflicting about that, right?
That's nothing conflicting.
Here's a new.
It's information that's already been collected. Yeah.
So if this is how it would play out. If we amend it, it would be, there's scenarios here we could do. we could say we disagree with this and go into conference committee. Okay? What is negotiated in conference committee is only the difference between the House and Senate version. You could not bring in the language that's in the executive. Okay? You can only negotiate between the two bodies what's currently in each version of the bill. We have a version, the Senate has a version. So then you would concur with further proposal of amendment, which would then put in the language of what was in the executive order and place the language here. So that can take 2 tracks. It could take a track where Senate institutions, we try to work with them to understand where we are, to see if they would accept our proposed amendment, which is educating 5 members of the committee. Or we can have a conversation with the chair of Senate institutions and say, we're interested in doing this. And maybe the best way to resolve this is we concur with a further proposal of amendment. We pass the House floor. It comes over to the Senate. They disagree and ask for a conference committee. And then you can discuss it with 3 members from this committee and 3 members from institutions committee. And personally, I would weigh in on that side.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to have a better conversation.
Yes. Yep.
Would y'all like to hear the remainder of the bill?
That might be helpful.
You're way ahead of you, John.
Like this would naturally occur after the bill. But,
Well, some of us jump ahead.
that's great.
Go for it.
Fast movement. I appreciate that.
Go for it.
On page 2, this line, you'll recall, the head of each agency, which is part of that inventorying process that each agency is providing to the head of each agency shall additionally indicate in its inventory in a format prescribed by the commissioner whether any building is vacant and whether any land is unnecessary for the statutory purpose of the agency. This is a narrowing of what passed out of the House. The House was for state purposes. So you can imagine that the determination that the head of each agency would have to make is a pretty broad one. Is this land unnecessary for state purposes? That could conceivably extend beyond their knowledge of what the agency pursues, which I think animated the Senate's proposed change here, which is, I think it came from a place of how fair is it to ask the heads of these agencies to make that broad determination? Wouldn't it be fairer to ask them, is it unnecessary for the purposes of your agency, essentially? And so that's what this switch is. The one complication I would note for this is I don't know that every agency has a statutory purpose. So, you may agree in concept perhaps with the Senate's proposal, and maybe it's fine, but just note that if your agency didn't have a statutory purpose, then all you would need to report is whether any building is vacant, and you would say, I think you would just note, we don't have a statutory purpose, and maybe you could make some determination that it doesn't put, and there's ways to address this, right? Just don't say statutory purpose, say purpose.
Right. So it's straight or statutory.
So clarifying question, isn't there statute somewhere for every agency that it is created the agency of the purpose of?
We have creations for each of them. I'm just not sure how prescriptive or useful the creation language is, and they've been created across various times. So I just wanted to call out the utility of this link to statutory purpose may not be as obvious as it sounds. When you hear it, you think, oh, that makes all kinds of sense, right? This is the kind of thing that they would know about themselves, what the purpose of the agency is, and they could pretty easily declare whether the land is unnecessary for it. But having not inventoried all of the agency's purposes, which I can just look if you want me to see the language for the agencies, wouldn't be that hard to do.
Well, I don't want you to do some work to do that, Kate.
If y'all are rejecting the whole concept.
Yeah, I don't want you to do some work. So where are we as a committee? What's the thinking? I laid out the different directions. What's the thinking? Are people clear on the different directions?
Conference.
Well,
But you gotta get an amendment on the floor
Right.
first.
Yes.
Right.
But you can't go to, if you go to conference disagreeing right now with what the Senate's done, you can't bring in what Connor wants to bring in, because it's new.
Just to add complexity to that already complex situation, you could bring it in, but then if the conference committee votes it out and the chamber would have the opportunity to reject the conference committee report on the basis that they strayed from the bounds of the text, basically. So you technically can do it. It's just whether or not someone will object.
Right.
And we don't know if they would.
So what would the committee like to do here?
I mean, I think that's the right.
After we need to, Connor, do you want to draft up the amendment?
No,
or
it
do we
would be
have to-
John.
Oh, it would
It's
John.
John.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm at.
You don't have too much work, John. It's pretty,
I would also like to have a little bit of basis in terms when there's an executive order. I know in the past, in the old days, when there was an executive order, those standing committees that were connected to it took review of it and weighed in on it.
Okay.
I remember that. That was way back when all of you were, many of you were young or not born.
Me.
23-year-old. And now, you know, we haven't seen too many executive orders over the years, so I just don't know what
Okay.
common practice is anymore. So if we're gonna pull up language from the executive order and keep maybe the report backs,
We're adding the report to the General Assembly.
so we have that, don't we?
No, not in the executive order. no.
Yeah, I'm not.
No, but in our bill,
It's in
in our bill.
Oh, it's already in the bill.
You don't know if you follow,
I'm not following all this.
or you're new. So the
Like, I'm-
governor had an executive order.
Yeah, I know
for the
that.
Housing
Yep.
that incorporated language.
Some,
basically.
not all, right?
You're being polite, incorporated.
Well, took language from the original H50,
Okay.
basically that Connor had.
Right.
They were fighting, not fighting us, but they were saying that wouldn't work. They wanted to soften it a little bit, have it more malleable, and that's what we did in our version when we passed 850. We did a strike all. And now the bill got changed a little bit in the Senate and came over, and it came in at the end of the session last May. We had concerns about the term state lease.
Right.
We said, let's bring it back into committee. That's how you get it off the calendar. You
All
bring
right.
it back into committee. Now we're reevaluating because the governor has issued an executive order for housing that basically uses the language of Connor's original bill. That we basically did a strike call based on testimony from the administration. So they've gone one.
So how does this, then how do those two things stand up
That's-
separately, the executive order and then H50?
So I had not read the executive order, but executive orders out there. You guys are in the process of developing a bill. If you wanted to go back to something like the original, I think maybe part of the confusion here is what's in front of you is not the section that you would be amending if you did something like the EO. What you have in front of you is the inventorying process. And the bill as introduced was updating the directives, the actual duties of the commissioner of BGS. So it's in kind of the authorizing statute for BGS and setting out a set of tasks that the commissioner has to follow. So that would likely be the place that you would go back and put this. But once I look at the executive order, I can also see if there's a better place that it belongs, but it's, may not be going in this, it may, but it may not be going in this inventorying section.
Thank you, John. That helps.
Sounds like we need.
I just sent that to you too, John.
Perfect.
So we're gonna have to take more testimony from John. And we're also gonna have to have BGS here. And maybe we could get somebody from the fifth floor here. Because they must
Make that
have.
happen, cool.
They must have reached out to BGS. Maybe they did, but we'll have to take some time, because we have to stand by what we do here, folks. We
Mhm.
can't just willy-nilly do it. We need to take some testimony for backup and to see if it is workable.
Okay.
But what I'm hearing is we do the language that's in the executive order. We concur with further proposal of amendment,
Mhm.
voted out of committee, comes up to the floor. I need to have a conversation with the chair of institutions to let her know what's happening. And personally, I would say to her, it might be better to ask for a conference committee on her end, because this will be hard for 5 members of another committee, you know, just to come to speed with everything. It'd be better to talk it through. Because when you go into conference committee, you would have the new version as well as the old version in front of you, basically.
Okay.
It's complicated.
Yeah, well, thanks for explaining that because I was a little lost on it.
There's a path where this doesn't go to conference committee as well. If we do an amendment, a further amendment, they accept it.
They would have to spend a lot of time. And it might be better, and I think
I
it's,
got you. I got
and
you.
it might be better for folks to experience a conference committee. Because it's a different world. And it would give an opportunity for members of this committee to, 3 members of this committee to be on a conference committee that wouldn't normally be on a conference committee, which I think is important
Mhm.
for folks. Because you get, it's a whole different environment on a conference committee, as John has experienced, right?
Indeed.
When you were on the conference committee, yes,
That's capital bill.
Yeah.
This is not capital. This is a
Okay.
separate bill,
Okay, gotcha.
which gives an opportunity for members
Mhm.
to sit on a conference committee.
Right.
And you start learning what the process is, and you start learning what's the view of the other body. And you build relationships. You start understanding how legislation comes together.
Okay.
So it could be a good exercise for that, because we don't have that many bills that you can get into conference.
It's fun to watch the chair in action in a conference committee, though. right?
Me?
It's a great activity.
You're never feisty at all.
I'm fine.
There's some interesting stuff.
With the conference committee you staff. Or us.
Both of them, both of the conference committees.
Memorable moments.
I remember.
What's on?
Yeah.
It had to be
I
up.
recall an accession of the other day that I was confused by. That worked out.
Let's do a break. Agatha, how long is it gonna take?
We can do it in as long or as short as you'd like, Madam Chair.
Okay, John, look at the executive order. Connor, send him the language. Then we'll go from there, and we'll schedule a time for you next week.
Sounds good.
I mean, so if you would want to take, for when you're available,
Sure.
to do this next week, I will have a conversation with Senator Harrison
Yep.
in the meantime. So,
She may have heard me yelling in the hall yesterday. Yeah.
Very cool.
Thank
Sean.
you.
Thanks, Sean.
Do folks want a quick break?
Fun.
keep
Let it roll.
You're Mary. No, keep going.
Okay.
So we can
So
run
if you
out
have to
of-
take a personal break, take a personal break.
Yes.
John, are you available? You're not available now, are you?
Right now,
Yeah.
I gotta go to a meeting, so what's going on?
State House expansion, State House work, State House, life safety access that might end up in the Capitol bill.
Okay,
Might be in the governor's thing, might not be the governor's thing.
sounds good. I'll be by tomorrow morning also for our thing.
For our thing at 8:30.
And then I'll be back in for BGS's testimony in the morning.
Because this piece with some arms may percolate, will be percolating
Okay,
through, so.
sounds good.
So play it the best you can.
That sounds wonderful.
It will be a new addition or not, we don't know yet.
If I get more out of it, then I will listen intently. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, Agatha, come on up.
Okay, if the state curator joins me.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we started with chair.
Is this the extra chair?
No, I'm sure Joel will do that.
Okay.
We can slide him around.
He's doing an air quality check outside right now.
Okay.
Here.
I'll sit in this
This
chair.
one
No,
here.
no, no. you
No,
sit-
no,
No, it's this.
That's what they call it.
Joe in that chair.
Well, with your-
Okay, so where are we? There has been conversations really since the world of COVID about a space in the State House. And for folks who were here 2 years ago, we talked a little bit about this. We did a tour of what were the possibilities. The Joint Legislative Management Committee has been working on this with Sergeant at Arms Office, the Curator's Office, the BGS. And it's really being more discussed in terms of single point of entry, possibly, and life safety issues, security, life safety, ADA access, just flow of the public coming into the building in a more strategic manner, basically. We don't know if anything's going to be put in the governor's capital bill or not. But Agatha reached out to me to see if they could give us a overview of what the conversations have been and what the thinking is and explain the dollar amount.
Yes.
Agatha, it's yours, and then we have our curator with us, David Cheeks.
And we did send over a PowerPoint. We do have some things to show you.
Okay.
And Representative Emmons, when would you like us to wrap up by? You're on the floor three?
On the floor 3.
Okay,
Whatever works.
perfect.
And you submitted this electronically?
Yes, and I apologize, Tate, that it came in late.
Some copies on the way.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a way for her to share or would it work, Tate? Could you just move the pages along?
Yes, I can do that.
Would that work better, Agatha?
That'd be great, yeah.
Yeah. If you could just work the pages along or put it up on our screen and then work the pages.
Because there's actually some pictures to see of what this addition would like, the century would look like, which is very exciting.
Sneak peek.
So, yes, you'll be the first standing committee to see such a thing.
We're very important.
Yes, yeah,
Money.
but we're here. So kind of to start, and David and I, we're gonna kind of like co-present. You could think of it as like a duet almost.
Harmony?
Yes. Because we both are very invested in this project. Myself from a security standpoint and visitor services, David from a visitor services, this building, he restored this building. It's important for him to be a part of a project like this. And so essentially what this would be to create an entryway for the State House. We have lots of entrances, 5 public entrances, 5 public doors, but we do not have an entryway. And this is not kind of like a wish list, like, wouldn't it be nice to have an entryway? There's actually a lot of very important components to an entryway and what it does and what it offers to a building like the State House, which is the #1 most visited building for school groups. This is where the laws are made. This is an exceptionally important building. I think you would probably say it's the most important building in the state.
Hands down.
Yes. Yes, and we don't have an entryway. And so what it does, thank you so much, Kate.
Try it.
Okay, is it creates obviously climate control. You have the vestibule, you can control the climate, moisture and climate in this building is an ongoing issue, as you know, with our HVAC project, which will improve it, but we will constantly be fighting moisture and air in this building. What an entryway does is create wayfinding so that people who are coming into the building, they know where to go. They know where immediately they'll know how to locate the elevators, the stairs, the restrooms, the lactation room, the Capitol Police Office. Right now, when people come into the building, it's like they've been dropped off in the middle of the land of Oz. They don't know where to go. They don't know who to ask questions. They might find someone with a gold tag. But it's a very, I would say, unwelcoming way of coming into the building and a very intimidating way of coming into the building. And oftentimes people who are coming to the State House are coming here already nervous. And then they come in and they have no idea where to go, where to ask for help. David, would you like to talk about visitor services?
I think from the standpoint of visitors in particular, they are the people especially who feel they're in the land of Oz. In other words, anyone who knows the State House to any extent at least knows how to navigate. But during the pandemic, we discovered as people started to come back only in the rear, that coming into the building from the rear, which is our only ADA access, then where? And it becomes very labyrinthine to find your way to the main lobby, which is where some explanation at least might happen. So I think we're looking at this, of course, from the session, but we're also looking at this for the rest of the year when the State House is among the top tourist attractions in the state. And there we may have not necessarily single point of entry, continuing to use the front as a means of access, but everything has to work together properly. And in particular, during the session, we get our greatest numbers of people because it's not just visitors, it's people who are here to actively do the business of Vermont and the business that you're part of. So we've got to make sure they know where to go, where to dispense with things, how to make sure it's safe. But the biggest thing is for this building to be fully accessible to every Vermonter who wants to cross its threshold. That has to happen. And for this to not have that kind of access is ridiculous at this point.
And that's where ADA kind of kicks in. So our building is compliant. We have many waivers in the building. This building was built in 1859, did I get that right?
Yes.
And it was probably never contemplated for it to operate as it's operating now, with monitors on the screen and with sprinkler systems and suppression device and plumbing. And it's a miracle, honestly, that this building looks as beautiful as it does and is as modern as it is. But so we're compliant, but I would say we're not courteous. If you are someone with mobility issues and you're trying to park and get into this building, you need to talk to a lot of people to be able to do that. You cannot easily self-navigate into the building. And our loading dock is our accessible entrance. And it's a loading dock. It's also where the 40-foot trucks pull up to deliver our Coca-Cola. At the same time, perhaps someone is getting dropped off in their wheelchair. At the same time, that massive icicles are forming at the top of the eaves and dropping into that area. Ice removal, icicles in that area in the last 5 years have become hazardous to the point where BGS multiple times a year goes out there with a lift to remove them. So we have funneled our, and then on a day that we have single point of entry, like today, which leads me to my biggest priority in this project is security. On a day when we have single point of entry, we are funneling everybody into that vortex of the loading dock, where the icicles are falling and the trucks are backing in, and it's the handicap accessible entrance, and it is not welcoming. People wait in line for 10, 15 minutes in the snow and rain. And so what the entryway does, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, this is, okay, drum roll please. Sorry, thank you. The entryway provides a space for security screening. And that is right now and forevermore, the best way that we can protect the building and the occupants of the building is with security screening. We are one of only a few state houses that do not have screening. New Hampshire is one of them. And it is now just the expectation that there will be screening done. We have a large demand for it. And when we come in, I think next week or the week after to do your security training, we'll talk about, what would happen if there was an active threat situation in the House chamber. And if we have screening, you really don't have to worry about that situation. So I'll leave it at that. I don't want to turn this into a security briefing, but what the entryway does is allow for proper safety screening. And so this is just a three-dimensional image of what that entryway would look like. And do you want to maybe talk for a minute about the shape of it?
This is where the loading dock currently is. So it projects a bit beyond the current facade. This is the 1886 edition that we're in right now, with the fire escape still here. At some future time, by the way, the architects have looked at the possibility of doing things later on that are not part of this project that might eventually get rid of the fire escape. And there'd be
Are you working with Freeman French Freeman?
Freeman, French Freeman, correct. And the curve is, they chose the curve and started showing this shape to us, is inspired by the dome. So the curve comes directly for that, but what's nice about it from an historic preservation point of view is you want to be able to clearly define what are the historic parts of the building and what is this new thing. Because the new thing needs to read as a new thing. It also needs to project, of course, because visitors have to see where they're going. So this is the single point of entry. You need to be able to identify it quickly as the place to go.
Are they looking at parking?
Parking is one of the things we still need to figure out because this would take over that lot. I believe it's the C lot, but the lot that's right in front where the cruiser is and some legislators park there. So that is one of the things that still needs to be figured out. Yes.
Shipping and receiving too.
So, and maybe we'll go to,
Hang on here. So if we're gonna be blasting with this? Would there be? blasting?
I think
The
the
lens-
answer is,
not much.
if there is, it's minimal.
Not much.
And also, David and I are here to give the overview. When there's the deeper questions, we should bring in Freeman BGS. They're the project managers and Freeman French Freeman.
So is the Capitol Complex Commission gonna have to get involved? Does this go out?
Yes, we have a lot of
Definitely.
stakeholder engagement to do.
So the Capitol Complex Commission is made up of folks within the city of Montpelier and some folks. So when there's an addition or changes to the State House that visually looks different, they become involved. Does anything on the National Historic get involved? Because this is a.
So this is a National Historic Landmark, which is the highest category of preservation in the nation. And Laura Trishman, the State Historic Preservation Officer, has been with us every step of the development of this. She's ready to work with the team to get it through that process as well.
So we can go to the next slide, please, Tate, and I'll breeze through this one, but this just shows the State House and the different components of it and when they were built. And I love this piece because it shows that, this is the original State House in the purple, but we've added on to it over the years. It's been almost 50 years since we've done an add-on, and I like it because it shows that it's okay to add on to the State House. It's expected to add on to the State House. And we're ready for a new color on there. And also that this project did not drop out of thin air. There have been multiple space studies done on the State House, and the findings are that the access is inadequate, getting into the building is inadequate. The number of people who trip and fall on the east and west entrance on their way in, that the safety and security programs are inadequate, that there is no unutilized space. We have 2 people sharing one desk right now. There's no underutilized space in the building. We've examined every inch of this building to try to maximize its use, and there's no more underutilized space. And fundamentally, occupants feel overcrowded. This project would not create new space for committee rooms. It would not create new space for legislators. So you're still going to feel crammed in this room, although there's other ideas. This project is all about the public and their access to the building. This is a project for the public. And that's important because sometimes legislators can think this is a project for them and they don't want to spend money on themselves. This is not a project for the legislators. This is a project for the public. So just some of those studies are listed down there. So the next slide is where we can, one more little piece of background is, and then we'll look at some more pictures, is So there was a special committee that was established in 2023 to work on this project. It's the Joint Legislative Management Committee plus the chairs of House Corrections and Institutions. So Representative Emmons has been a part of this special committee. So they approved the project in December of 2023. They approved the design in 2024, the initial design, the schematic design. And it's to build that entryway here. So the entryway will be right here, and then it'll create a corridor all the way down between the two buildings. And people will enter the building by the Lincoln hallway now, after this is built. And legislators, staff will still have the cut through by the copy room. So all the existing hallways will still be there, but now there'll be this new entrance through the Lincoln door.
And is this?
I'm sorry.
We got a question,
And just
James, and then.
to orientate myself, the peach part.
Yes, I'm sorry.
What is the peach part?
So this is the loading dock.
Yeah,
This, if you take a left, is like the coat
yeah,
room.
no, I mean down below, like the.
Oh, this peach.
Yeah.
That is where the copy room and Capitol Police are.
It is, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, sorry about.
Yes, no problem.
So then we saw it from the west on that
Yes.
first slide. I don't know if you've got a view from the east coming up as well.
We do.
Is this one story across?
It'll be one story, just the
Tall,
first
but very
floor.
tall.
But it'll be tall,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
We contemplated a second floor that would create more space for committee rooms, but it was, it's too expensive.
Can you help me visualize then as you're walking down that corridor west to east, like, is that turret protected, the stairwell going up to the speakers?
So it approaches the turret, and there will be doors probably going into a vestibule where the porte cochere next to the turret is located. And that porte cochere will be enclosed, and that will be the east entrance.
Okay.
So there will be a way for people such as yourselves with badges to enter that, but the public always has had to come to the west entrance for obvious reasons. It's just too complicated on the east side of the State House.
Gotcha.
So Brian, Mary, Troy, and I can still come in that east
Yes.
side.
Yes.
You can.
And we do have some more pictures that will give you a visual of
And then
that.
the doors to the Lincoln hallway would be left open.
That's great.
Yeah.
So that would be open to this new area in the rear.
Would you have to spin Abraham around to face people, or would you have them come?
You're way ahead of everybody else here. Only you and I have thought about where Abraham Lincoln is
It's,
facing.
you do not have to answer.
And I have no answer yet.
And the bigger.
I've thought about it.
So the design team, just to let you know, because there's a lot of people working on this, although the group needs to get bigger. It's Buildings and General Services. They are the project managers, and they have a very talented team working on it, HVAC, project managers, a whole team of people, historic preservation. Freeman French Freeman are the architects. They've done a lot of work in the building. They understand this building. They're the same architects that are doing the HVAC project. Architectural restoration consulting is Trisha Harper, who has worked on many projects in this building. She's the architect consultant for the Sergeant at Arms office. And then my office. And I forgot to say in BGS that the state curator is also a part of the project. So the next slide shows you, I don't want to confuse things, but I want to, because it's schematic design, there's still decisions that need to be made. So we're going to show you two versions of the same thing. This first is what we'll call baseline, and it's $18.6 million. So that's the baseline cost of this project. And it creates the entryway over here. So to orient you, this is the front of the State House. So it creates the entryway here. See how it would dip into where that parking lot is? And people would enter here and go through screening, and then they'd move through. This would all be indoors. That glass stair tower would go away.
That's where you put Lincoln.
So Lincoln's here. And then it would be a clear shot all the way across. And
Where we could still come in.
you can still come here.
In here.
You could still go up the stairs here. So you still have ways that you can maneuver without going down to go see Lincoln.
If you come in the east side, you could take a right and still go up those back stairs and the whole 9 yards.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Correct.
So, but I'm actually gonna ask Kate if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, because it contemplates some different uses for existing space. So yes, we're building an entryway, but we are now turning what is the coat room and where old drafting ops is into the main hallway of the State House. So we want to contemplate the programming in that area. This would add $1 to $3 million. So what this does is when you come through, it opens up this whole lobby area. Right now, to give you a visual, if you took a left right here, you'd be entering through the glass door that brings you to the service elevator where the single-use restroom is.
The restroom is.
Yes. It is a very unattractive part of the State House. And it is very hard to make it less unattractive, to beautify it. So the least we can do is actually just open it up a little bit. Take the restroom out, take the lactation room out, and open that space up.
Put the restroom in about 4 years. ago.
Yes, then demolishing it will cost the same as installing it approximately. But it would create that will be the main elevator now for people to use potentially. They'll be taking a left and using that elevator. And so to have them take a left and then squeeze where there's also a restroom door opening into them, it's very unwelcoming. So we can open that lobby up. And then where the coat room is, we can open up, it'd still be the coat room, but we'd like to add, there's potential to add more doorways into it. So you can take the windows that are there that are now facing the outside and turn those into doorways, because now they're going to be opening up into interior space. So
Those
more.
windows look out to the courtyard.
Yes.
That's what you're thinking. Okay.
And in with the project, it won't be a courtyard anymore. It'll be a hallway, a corridor. And we would be working closely with Laura Treishman to make sure that we're not disturbing historic material. We could have a student orientation room is what we call it, but right now the tours, they spill into the building and we love them coming, the school groups. But it's exceptionally loud. They're all funnel into the lobby. I don't want to criticize it. I want to be careful not to criticize it. We don't have a great plan for how they enter and exit the building. So we could we don't have a plan for where to put their backpacks we have a plan. It's just not a great plan. Their backpacks, their coats. So we could give them a space in the building. And then here, this is old drafting ops. And we actually could do this independent from the project, but move the copy room here where old drafting ops was and where the copy room used to be. We can build more restrooms because the State House is actually short on facilities. So we could build 2 restrooms right where the copy room used to be, single-use restrooms. I think I covered most of the major features.
So you gain 1 restroom over what we have right now.
Yes, exactly.
Just, I think that's the purple or deep blue or whatever is IT.
Yes.
Okay, what's different from that? What IT is that, or is that additional?
It would basically, IT right now is here where student orientation is.
So just moves them over.
It's just moving them
Yeah.
over
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
from a prime location for visitors.
Yes.
Are we gonna take care of any of the water issues in that corner? Because we were gonna put a summer boiler in there.
Yes. And I'm glad you asked, and we should absolutely invite BGS in to talk about it. But that side of that building is built into the ledge. And there is a decades-old water issue over there. And as part of this project, Freeman French, or not as part of this project, but as part of this conversation, Freeman, I think there will be a recommendation that the water issue be dealt with or without this project. Because the carpet actually gets wet in that area. There's water that just comes down the hillside into where the coat room is now. So, and then the question on deliveries, so the deliveries would still have to come on the west side. we spent a lot of time talking about how we could use the east side a little bit more, but we just can't. It's too narrow. It's where the three branches of government come together. So from a security perspective, it's not a great space to be using as a loading dock. And so it would still come in on the west side, but we would have a separate entrance for them. Right now, everyone is using that same little door. We're all trying to use that same little door for access and delivery. So they would at least have their own separate door and their own separate hallway. And this would give us an opportunity also to screen deliveries that are coming into the building.
So if you're gonna do screening, you can have a machine there, but you gotta have personnel. So is that increasing our Capitol Police staff?
Not the Capitol Police. If we do it, a proposal would include having security guards. So it would include the number, it would increase the number of employees, but they would not be police officers.
They wouldn't be under the Capitol Police, but they'd be under the Sergeant at Arms?
We haven't gotten that far in the conversation. They would be part of Sergeant at Arms, but what their chain of command would look like is, we haven't gotten there yet.
In the training that would be needed.
Yes, but best practices is to have unarmed security guards at a screening station. Unarmed. Yes, yeah. So we have a few more slides. Tate, if you wouldn't mind advancing. So this is what it would look like from the street.
Just trigger.
And what this does, the objective is you want to be able to see it. The whole point is you want to be able to see it. You want to be able, people from the street, from the sidewalk, need to be able to look at the State House and say, that's how I get in. Right now, unless you work in the building, you don't know how to get into the building. The amount of people who knock on the front door of the State House to say, hello, can I come in?
Is that during the off session? Do you have those doors open?
Those are open in the off session, yes, but people, and I don't blame them because they don't know how to get into the building. So that's how it would look. David, anything you add to this?
No, except that with single point of entry just today, the west doors were damaged by someone attempting to open them when they were locked.
So that was early in the morning though.
Yes, very early today, but it just kind of shows how our habits of going through the principal entrances at the front and ignoring any signage that points you in this direction.
Is this door here?
It's a matter of time.
The one here, not the one on the loading dock.
No.
No,
Yeah.
the west. They just couldn't, I guess, accept that the doors were locked.
You had a sign out there.
Yes.
And there was signage.
I know I saw some people come up to the east side and I saw the sign on the sidewalk there, but they were trying to open the east.
Yes, sir.
What would you do with the three entrances then? How would they be addressed?
They would be locked.
And like kind of like roped off on the outside so people knew this is not where you go?
Yes, we would have some signage to indicate that this is a locked.
And we couldn't use those either.
Well, no, but you could use them for exiting.
Oh.
So there will always be multiple means of egress. It's just the one way in for members of the public.
Gotcha.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, I think the next slide shows us the east side view of, yes, there you go. So that's the archway, which would be very aesthetically sealed with a glass wall and doors so that members and staff can still badge in from that area.
What mechanicals would you need there? Because you got the mechanicals on top of the cafeteria roof. What mechanicals are you going to need? Do you
Like
know?
HVAC, that we would have to, let's bring in BGS for that.
Where would we put it?
It would be, so I'm going to try to answer your question, but the mechanical room that was built in the courtyard that we had as part of the big HVAC project, that is still relevant and operational. The venting would have to
go up.
Yes, and so there's a
The outcrop that we did.
yes. And if I'm wrong about that, I'll ask BGS to correct it, but I think that is the last photos I looked at, pictures I looked at, doesn't change the brick and mortar, but it changes the vent.
So that hallway that goes through the courtyard, you've got that outcrop.
Mhm.
So where the outcrop is there with the new mechanical from the HVAC system, is that gonna be the wall of the hallway?
Exactly.
And then does the hallway curve in?
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Okay, and then I think maybe one last slide is a 3D, there's two more slides, but this last image is a 3D image of what that would look like from the east side.
It's like we have snow.
Yeah, I know, I don't know, it's like we're on another planet, but I like it. So then,
Let's take the hill down a little bit.
yes, yes. So
With the parking.
in terms of, so this is schematic design, so we still have refinement to do, and we may learn more through stakeholder engagement about so the design will be tweaked. We need to make some decisions on copy room, the coat room, the restrooms, that extra $1 to $3 million. And so where we are, do you mind going to the last slide on this, is to continue with stakeholder engagement. And the reason we're here is because even though we've been talking about this, we've been working on this project for 2 years. This year will be the first year that it's discussed here with the standing committees, because there's an appropriation. All of the funding for this, I've neglected to say this, all of the funding for this so far has been through a grant, through an ARPA grant, through ARPA funds. And this all started, believe it or not, because of COVID, because money was given to the state, or awarded to the state to design an addition for health screening purposes, believe it or not, health screening. So who was here during COVID in the legislature? And I was not, but I've heard the stories about it was disruptive to all of us. It was, but exceptionally disruptive to legislative operations. And so, and that is unacceptable, to disrupt legislative operations. So this actually started for health screening purposes. Now, 5 years later, it is so clear to us that we need this for ADA and security screening purposes. I feel very strongly that this project is the best way that we can get to security screening. Otherwise, we're really just kind of it's like cooking dinner with what's in the pantry. Like, you can put something out, but it's not organized or efficient or possibly crowd pleasing. So the timeline of this is, if we keep on track, then we can finish design and pre-construction by May of 2027. So approximately a year from now. We can begin construction very soon thereafter. So the spring or summer of 2027, which means that with a 21-month construction cycle, and we have questions we have to answer. Are we doing construction during session? Are we not? There's a lot of things that need to be answered, explored, but we could be completed with construction by the fall, winter of 2029, which would mean if all things go well, which you're a builder, the session of 2030 could be opening the doors. So
Can you tell us how much money you've got in the bank? Because there is not the money in the bank of 18 to 21 million.
So my understanding, and I say that because BGS is really the one to ask, is there's no money for construction. The money is all for design. So we can get all the way through this pre-construction. We can get to May of 2027.
1 million, 1 point.
It was 1.5 million, but then there was, BGS would have to answer this. It wasn't the full 1.5 million that went into the design, but that was what was granted to us. I think there was some taken
in there that can be used for some things. So-
Yes.
So we would have to find the money
Yes.
this year and next year to stay on this construction timeline.
Yes, and our request for the capital bill this year was, for this project, was $1.3 million.
To get you to design and pre-construction?
Actually, to get us to construction,
To
that
get you-
1.3 would be, I don't know if
Finish
it's,
your design documents to get to construction.
yes, we have money to get us all the way through design and construction documents. But if we finish in May of 2027 of all that, we don't have any money to get us the actual construction.
Can't go out to bid.
Yes, and so this session will be the session that we decide, are we doing this project or not? Because we can't move forward with speaking to contractors and getting all the things lined up until there's some reassurance that this project is gonna happen. If you ask us, it's gonna happen, but
Yeah, I
it's
mean-
not up to us.
My small contracting company, we're booked through the summer.
You can't do this. You're on YouTube.
Oh,
Yes.
no, all I'm saying is that you need to get out in front of this.
Absolutely.
I can't do this.
Sorry, folks, we just can't do it.
You can't get
Thanks
here.
for asking.
No, but I'm just saying, you do need to schedule that really soon.
Yes.
Well, they need the money. They can't go out
Right.
to it.
Vacations booked.
You can loan us, you can loan us the money and do the construction.
Do you envision sort of a more permanent, like, type of X-ray machine in this section of the building along with the security guard and?
With this project?
Yeah.
Yes, it would be a appropriately spaced station. So station for people to come through with strollers and wheelchairs and all kinds of things that will fit through. Yes.
So there would be an expense with that as well, I'm
There
sure,
would-
yeah.
The equipment itself is not the expensive part, it's the people, it's the staff.
Yeah.
And so we still have to talk about this, but the idea would be that the security would be in place when the legislature is in session. And the security would not be in place when the legislature is not in session. So in the summertime, we would still open the front door. This is the plan. The plans can change, the world can change, but still open the front door. And so we wouldn't, in the summertime, need to have screening. People could walk in. But during session, when the legislature is in session, bottom line is legislative operations cannot be interrupted. That is my singular purpose of existing, is to make sure that legislative operations are not disrupted. And so that's when you make the investment in the screening. But in the fall, when everyone's coming and leaf peeping, we can, open more of the doors.
288 questions.
Yes.
One, and when you come in from the west through the new single point, you said, I think, that employees, whatever, can go to the left and take the elevator there. Is that open to the public then too?
Yes, that would be open to the public.
And then what even do we call it? The balcony over the chamber? Will that not be
Yes.
accessible too? Like, what changes there, if anything?
No changes there. Yes. that's-
Okay.
Yeah.
And no exit from the Senate chamber?
No. Yeah. So this project started as, oh boy, there was lots of fun stuff. There was a fire escape for the Senate chamber. There's a lot of fun stuff in this, but cost went through the roof. So we scaled it down to just the entryway.
So how do we justify, do you send it personal or ledge?
No, first.
How do we justify spending this kind of money when folks are having a hard time finding homes? We're trying to take care of that, and we're under a lot of budget constraints in general. So how can we justify finding 18 to 21 million for this? I just want to put that on the table because it's going to be an issue out there in the public.
It's a fair question. And not to discredit anyone else's cause, but as Sergeant at Arms, I have to push for it because I'm responsible for the security of the building. It is the only way, single security screening is the best way to secure this building and its occupants. So that's how I see this as a security project.
And ADA is the other thing. If this is truly the people's house, then we have an obligation to ensure that every person in Vermont has as much access to what's going on here as everybody else. So if not now, it's a very difficult time, no question. You've got very hard things to talk about.
And I would contend there's probably few state houses around the country that don't have security the way we have.
And I second Mary because it's gonna sound like chump change if that ever happens because we don't have security.
And that's the thing. I mean, I've always been pleased.
I don't like thinking like that, but I
I
just.
was always
That out there.
pleased that our doors were open.
We're gonna wish.
We live in very different times.
Yep. Connor, definitely.
But just watch it, because Connor may want to add his bathrooms to the.
I was gonna name the addition after me.
Allison's bathroom or the entrance.
Hmm?
The Allison's bathrooms or the
Yeah,
entrance.
yeah, the bathrooms. So for the committee, this is a presentation that the Sergeant at Arms is just laying the setting on the table. We don't know if there'll be anything in the governor's capital bill request or not. That's the next step, just to see, because they've been working with BTS. This is for the legislative branch. Is the administration going to put money in? It would be in section 2, I'm assuming, being BTS's section if they did. I would assume, because it's BTS would be leading this project along with the Sergeant at Arms. So we'll just have to wait and see till next day, and we'll go from there.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for.
So-
And great work. It's beautiful.
So let's go off of YouTube.